Live here pretty soon, and we are live in Collector Spotlight Special Edition Wrestlemania Edition. Alexa, stop before I get a copyright strike. All right. Did she stop? Okay, good. Now I'm talking to myself in my ear because I forgot to mute myself. Well, welcome to Collector Spotlight. This is, like I just said, it's going to be a WrestleMania edition. For those of you that are not familiar with this format, I've been doing this for the last few months. I get collectors from all over the nerd world, and we discuss topics such as customizing, collecting, etc. And I bring them to you. I ask them questions so that way you get to know them better. But this one is a special collector spotlight. This special guest is a YouTuber. He is also on Instagram and active on the Facebook groups. He is my WWE smart mark that I have on for this edition because, you know, I've been a fan of WWE for a really long time, but I haven't really been watching it too much lately, as much as my next guest here. And without further ado, let's bring on Harry. What is up, Harry?
Hey, Brock, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. This is the time of year where it's okay for fans who don't watch, every week to come back into the fold and enjoy the very best of the WWE product, and that's WrestleMania.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, it is the time to come in. And I usually, I typically watch Raw. And I've been, like I said, a fan of wrestling since the early 80s. Back in 1984 was one of my first. I remember when Hulk Hogan won the WWF Heavyweight Championship from the Iron Sheik. Right. And I can't remember which show that was, but I remember watching the Saturday that he had won, the Saturday show afterwards when they used to, I forget what channel it was. I'm not sure if it was 11 or 5. No. It wasn't on that type of cable. I think it was one of the main channels. I think it may have been actually channel 4. But I was a little kid, so my memory, I'm much older now.
Just a 5-year difference between you and I, but cable networks changed the landscape of how the product was delivered for Vince. And he saw that before any other promoter did in the 70s going into the 80s. The opportunity to make this household thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. I think that was before, the WrestleManias. I'm trying to remember, when was WrestleMania 1? Do you remember the year?
83.
In 1983. So I'm wondering if it was on the heels of WrestleMania that maybe that's when Hulk Hogan, I wonder if I should look that up. That's when he beat the Iron Sheik. But obviously I didn't get the pay-per-view back then. My dad was not a fan of professional wrestling, but I was, I was a kid and I ate that stuff up. I ate those 1980s gimmicks up. Hulk Hogan was, the guy that I wanted to win, and I saw him in like a Superman that he could not be defeated,
exactly.
and it was great to see that wrestling then. But anyway, so let's before we get into WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame, because we will be talking about the Hall of Fame. Tell us where you're at in the United States.
I am in Appalachia, and that's in Virginia, the Appalachian Mountains, very small rural community in Virginia, southwest corner of the state. Famous for coal. It was actually the blunt of a SNL joke a year ago when Trump was elected. It's famous for the Trump joke. If you ever Google that on YouTube, but it's coal country. There's a lot of coal mines. It's trying to change its identity and become more of a college town now, but it's a real small rural town in Virginia.
Very cool. Hey, Harry, can you see if you can turn your phone sideways because that way you fill the picture all the way. Let me see if that works. Let me see. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, now you're filling the whole screen. Yeah. So this is. I wanted to talk to the people in the chat. We got about 8 in the chat right now. I typically don't interact with the chat immediately, but this is a special edition of Collector Spotlight, and Harry and I will be interacting with you. As a matter of fact, once I'm done with these initial questions to Harry, I am going to be inviting some of you, whoever wants to be invited, to come talk to us about WrestleMania, specifically when we start talking about the matches. If you want to be a part of that, send me your email on via Messenger on Facebook, and then I will add you to the chat. You don't have to stay on there for the whole time, but it would be great if you joined us. This is something new we're trying. We've never done it before, but I think it's appropriate. That way we can have a little bit of a panel discussing these matches. And as Harry said, if you haven't been watching, it's okay, because right now it's when they start drawing in some of the new fans. It is a phenomenal show. If you haven't seen WrestleMania, you can get it on the network right now. It's really cheap. Harry, is it still $10.99?
It's still $10. Yeah,
$10.99. So
you can't beat it.
No, you can't.
If they've never used it before, they'll give them the first month for free.
Well, there you go. So you guys can actually get WrestleMania for free.
No risk.
All you need is a high-speed internet.
You get the best pay-per-view of the year, and then you get the world's biggest Royal Rumble on the 27th of April. That's going to take place in Dubai.
Very good. And in the chat right now, we have Cody Spring. What's up, Cody? Night of Ren, Midnight Rage. And
that's a friend of mine. That's Chris. One of the first friends I made when I moved to Virginia back in 2000.
Who's that? Midnight Rage?
Midnight Rage, yeah, a good friend of mine.
Oh, that's right. He's representing Grundy.
Yes, he does. He can attest for the Trump joke.
Very good. Hey, Harry, so how long have you been a wrestling fan?
I've been very similar to you. As a child, my brother and I, we discovered before Monday Night Raw, there was a program called Prime Time that would air on Mondays on USA Network. And we would watch Prime Time on Mondays, and we would watch WWF Superstars on Sunday on USA. And the only reason my brother and I loved the show is because Hogan, like you said, as a child, he was a superhero come to life. You thought he was like from another planet because he was so strong, his morals, his standards. He was a real life superhero, you know. A comic book character.
The character had, you know, he took his vitamins every day, said his prayers. Right. He represented the all-American guy.
His promos, you know. He would even talk about going surfing and stopping sharks from eating other surfers.
Right. Yeah, a lot of ridiculous things. Yeah, with his 24-inch pythons. Unfortunately, you know, the real life Hulk Hogan, it doesn't have that.
A lot shorter.
Yeah, he definitely falls short of the character he represents. But
don't we all? Hogan will be the first to admit that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know, when you're representing something that you know, it's almost near perfect. You're obviously not going to be you know, up to standard to the values that you're representing, especially the lifestyle that those guys lead. You know, they're on the road the majority of the year. It's definitely a hard life. It's not easy.
Right.
But I bought hook, line, and sinker, especially to those early gimmicks. Because I was 7.5, 8 years old when I started watching wrestling. And you were a little bit younger. Well,
I think I was 5-ish, and Charles was he's 3 years younger than I am, so he just tagged along. And when we were old enough to rent the stuff that had already happened at Blockbuster Video, our younger audience won't know what that is, but a VHS cassette of, you know, all the past pay-per-views, just so we could be caught up on what was going on. We rented those frequently. That way we had our knowledge base as kids. So.
Yeah, and for me, you know, obviously we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Instagram and Facebook and all these, you know, different forums to discuss wrestling. So I was fairly ignorant. I was just a fan of I guess the characters. I've always been a fan of characters. I assume that you are too, because you love superheroes just like I do. Right. Something that's larger than life. And man, I was sucked in by the entertainment, and ultimately that's what it's here. It's entertainment. And speaking of that, you have kind of done a switch, at least from my perspective. I've seen you kind of switch from just talking of, your hunts and figures, and you've really done like a switch over to wrestling, and it seems like that's having a pretty good effect, at least in your Instagram following. You're getting close to having 1,000. You're 900 something, so you're very close to 1,000 followers on your Instagram account.
Yeah.
And then, do you attribute that to your switch to the showcasing of professional wrestling that you're doing?
I do attribute the fact that the format of IG is so user friendly, and I love how clean cut the presentation is of what you want to share. There's not a lot of clutter to IG. The funny thing is I, as a male, a married middle-aged male, never had any desire to be on Instagram until a year ago. So I've only started that account when WrestleMania 33 was happening. And that's the beginning of my relationship with IG. And now I love the format. I love it more than Facebook.
Yeah, and I think it's working for you. It's very easy for me to follow you. Like you said, it's very user friendly. It's very clear. I know that you've had some issues with copyright things with Instagram, but it looks like you've been able to get at least around that right now.
It's mostly the live pay-per-view feeds. They don't like that being shared as it's airing.
Gotcha.
The stuff that's actually on television, they don't care so much.
Oh, that's good to know. But see, that would be helpful for someone like me that's not constantly following the wrestling, but I still I want to know what the storyline is. That's my favorite part about it. And we're going to get into that when we start talking about some of these matches. Obviously, I enjoy the wrestling also. We're going to get into that. I'm going to ask you some questions about, favorite wrestlers, etc., and favorite matches. Let me mention to the chat, because there's some more people in here right now. If you want to join us in the chat, I'll be bringing one or two of you at a time when we start discussing these matches. Send me a message on Facebook. Those of you that are friends with me on Facebook, Brock Rivers, just hit me up there real quick. I have it open. Send me your email, and then I will send you the link to join the chat. And then you can stay for a couple questions, and then we'll give, depending on how big of a chat we end up getting, we'll give people an opportunity to get up here and start talking about these matches. So that, Cody, I think that answers your question. We do what we must because we can. That is the longest name on YouTube right now.
That's legit.
What's up? Yeah, that's legit. What's up, dude? You did come at the right time. Cody Springs, obviously a WWE fan. He watched the Saturday morning cartoons. I remember those cartoons. He mentions that in the chat when it was Roddy Piper and Friends versus Hulk Hogan Friends. I remember that a lot. What's up, Judson Osgood is in the chat. Christopher Smith, what is going on, dude?
Hey, Christopher. I'm a big fan of Christopher. He's a great dude.
Me too.
Collector.
Fig Life Miami. Abel's in the house right now.
Abel, the director.
Abel, the director.
I love Fig Life.
Oh, wait, Chico, did you watch wrestling? See if you want to join us to talk about wrestling. Or you're just in here because you thought we were doing a regular collector spotlight. Psych! Just kidding. All right. So moving on, speaking of, so you started watching wrestling. When did because I see a lot of your Instagram, you obviously have your brother and your dad watching it with you. When did they become fans?
Well, Charlie was right with me as children, but our dad is
right behind you.
Yeah, he's joining us. Brother and I started together as kids, but our dad would never give wrestling the time of day in our youth. He didn't think it was a real sport. He liked soccer. He liked baseball. He liked NFL. Wrestling was not a sport. And our dad worked too much. He didn't have enough free time to waste it on something like wrestling. But that doesn't mean that he didn't, encourage our passion for the sport. He supported us watching it. And if we wanted to we grew up in Louisiana, an hour outside New Orleans, and they would frequent the Crescent City often. So, being able to take us to a show and stuff like that, our dad was always comparable on that. But he wasn't a fan until 2008. We got dad into it hardcore.
Gotcha.
And it was after baseball season ended and he would go into the depression of the season being over. What am I going to watch? And here's a product that does not have an off season, that there's new content multiple times a week. And then with the different brands, so many good guys, so many bad guys. And from that point forward, Dad was hooked.
Yeah, it's a male soap opera for sure. And if he started watching in 2008, well, he didn't come in the Attitude Era. He missed the Attitude Era.
He did,
which
but
was
thankfully the network allows us to take him back and show him some of that noteworthy stuff.
Is he good with the Attitude Era, or does he prefer? What do they call it? The reality era?
He definitely loves the Attitude Era. He actually wishes that's what it was like now. After we show him an Attitude Era match, he's like, "Why can't they do that anymore?" I'm like, "Dad, things have changed."
It's PG. It's the John Cena era.
They can't do it anymore. They're trying to get the longevity of the athletes now. They don't want them to have like an 8-year career and then they're crippled.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's definitely better for business that way. But that Attitude Era was sure fun to watch. I watched it when I was a lot less mature than I am now, so it really struck a nerve when I was
as males. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I ate that up.
Were you hardcore WWF or did you follow?
No, WCW? At one point I preferred the WCW.
Oh,
the NWO.
That hurts.
Hey,
that hurts.
Hey, at one point,
WWF.
Hey, too sweet. Okay, for the longest time, I thought the product, the WCW, was better. Just in the long run, you know,
they were killing him. They were killing Vince. They were, and Vince knew it.
For a short time, but you know, it's the tortoise and the hare. You know, Vince ultimately that guy's a genius, obviously, for what he's done for entertainment, for that type of entertainment, and he had a business. His business model was a lot better than what WCW had going for them. But anyway, the chat, Chris Smith asked, "What are your top picks for WrestleMania?" Chris, we're actually going to get talking to that. And if you want to join up, Claire, send me your email and I'll put you in the chat and we can discuss. So, Harry, do you remember the first match you watched as a kid?
I'm going to give it to Macho Man versus Hulk Hogan.
Which one? Because they wrestled quite a bit of times. Do you remember which one it was? I think Harry's looking up the match right now on the computer. I think that's what he's doing. Are you there, Harry?
Yeah, it's WrestleMania 5.
Okay, WrestleMania 5. Who ended up going over on that match?
Hogan.
Hogan went over on that match. Was that when they had that little feud where he was stealing Macho Man's spotlight, and then he was trying to steal Miss Elizabeth, or at least inclined. Is that the
right? Yeah, this was in '89. So Charles and I got into it much later than I anticipated. I believe that was when we heavily committed ourselves to just being WWF fanatics. It was that era. The Hogan and Macho Man. You know, they were marketing it to children. Someone in the comments was talking about the cartoon that they were marketing. And that was just to get younger audiences to watch. You lure them with a cartoon and then get them hooked on the live action product. And then toys.
Keep talking. My attention's a little bit divided. I'm hooking up some people on email here. Cody. Keep going. Harry, go ahead. Did I hang up on you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, keep talking. I'm just adding people on the.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think definitely the late '80s, early '90s is when Charles and I went. You know, we completely dive into it. It wasn't as early as I thought, but WrestleMania 5, Macho Man versus Hogan, and Macho losing that match, and Hogan still offering him the handshake at the end. You know, the good sport, two baby faces.
Yeah, the match I remember the most during that time, it was the one that was significant to me. I mentioned it earlier. It was that Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan, because they had that whole feud. It was the foreigner versus the USA guy. They kind of did a similar angle recently when Rusev first came on scene.
They give you shades of that.
They changed his act. He's over now, but before, I mean, people hated him. It was a good play, but I don't think it carried the same. It didn't carry the same way because back in the early '80s, you had the Cold War going. So you had sergeants. You had guys like Sergeant Slaughter, Nikolai Volkov, obviously the Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan, the All American Hero.
Right.
Who else did we have?
It was in the shadows of Desert Storm and all that, lumbering in Kuwait. And Vince has always been one to use current events and politics to fuel storylines. So
yeah, he's very smart that way, and that was a hook, line, and sinker for me. Especially, I was coming from I was early in the United States. I could barely speak English at that time. I could understand it a little bit better, but I was coming from a communist country, so that really, I think that even sucked me in more. That storyline, Nikolai Volkov, the Iron Sheik, and was Mr. Fuji was their handler, and then you had these guys. It was the us versus them. You can't really do it the same way now because of political correctness, but he definitely does do it in he does it in a different way. The storylines are done in a different way than they were during that time. Do you remember those storylines, Harry?
I do. Yeah, Sarge actually switching sides and being with the Sheik, betraying the United States. That was a big angle when Sarge had the title for a minute there, and Hogan had to. So you had babyface Hogan against a heel Sergeant Slaughter, who turned, and he was wearing an Iraqi uniform and stuff.
Yeah, he was a turncoat.
That was not fun as a kid because we loved Slaughter because of G.I. Joe first.
Sure.
And then to see the real life Slaughter in the WWF, here's this cartoon character who's a toy come to life, and then see him switch to the I'm like, that was heavy stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Chasing Rob, welcome to the chat. He says, WrestleMania has always fallen around my birthday, and it's been a tradition since I was 9 to watch it and celebrate my birthday. Hey, Chasing Rob, send me your email, and I'll put you in the chat. I'll give you an early birthday gift.
Happy birthday, Rob. That's a great time of year to celebrate.
Yeah, you can definitely join us, and when we start talking about these matches. Some major matches that I also remember, and I was a child watching it, and you can just see how well these guys acted. I remember Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's matches with Randy Macho Man, and they were amazing. I remember. Do you remember the one where Ricky Steamboat's down? I'm not sure where, if he's outside the ring or he's inside the ring. I can't remember where, but Macho Man takes the timekeeper's bell, and he brings down on his throat. And I literally thought that he was killing him.
They had to take him out on a stretcher and stuff. That was a big deal.
It was a huge deal, but it was fun, and and the product nowadays is kind of back to those that almost the early 80s. It's more kid friendly than the Attitude Era was. Obviously, if you're a kid, you should not have been watching the Attitude Era. That the overly sexual. I mean, I was going to say innuendo, but it wasn't even sexual innuendo. I mean, you had.
Straight up sex sales marketing is what it was.
It was, that's what they were marketing. They were marketing you had Jerry the King Lawler and his puppies, calling out the puppies all the time, and then you had Edge, and I think it was Lita. Well, I think it was Lita that they actually had a bed inside the ring. It was just craziness.
Yeah. And what's funny is that was after the Attitude Era. They did that during the Ruthless Aggression. Because Cena was running things by then, but they still dipped into their old Attitude Era ways with that promo where they're in the bed and Cena pulls the sheets on her after Edge leaves her there. That was definitely out of the Attitude Era playbook. Sure.
And that sold. But now, getting back to my original point was, you have all these kids in the audience. It was. All these storylines are real, and I think that's why John Cena is so popular with the kids, because he is. He's the Hogan of this era. Yeah, he's a better Hogan. I think he's a better Hogan, to be honest with you. because he shows his weakness. You know, but he's able to come back from adversity. You know,
he does. He's
and,
not perfect, like all of us. Cena's not a perfect person either.
No,
and you can see that if you watch Total Divas and Total Bellas.
Oh yeah,
you get to see only what they're going to allow you to see on those produced shows, obviously.
Sure.
But his rules that he's thrown at Nikki these last 5-6 years they've been together, about living together, what she can do, what she can, what they wear to dinner. Like he's not a perfect being.
No, absolutely. And when I'm talking about, I'm just talking about the actual character, because, the personal lives, we only find out about their personal lives when videos are leaked and they make it out, or stories are leaked and they make it out into the public. But I'm just talking about the character that he represents to these little kids. And when they're watching this program, it's so believable.
Well, he still moves the most merchandise for the company.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, because of what he is. He's like your living superhero. He is a superhero, and that's what they're trying to make Reigns, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So, Harry, going back in time, we're not talking about necessarily current wrestlers, but who are your top 3 favorite legends?
Well, easily number 1 for me is Bret Hart. Bret the Hitman Hart. And I loved that he was not the biggest guy. He was a tactician. He was a submission expert. He was trained by his father, Stu Hart. The pedigree that Bret comes from. He had so many brothers in the industry that were made their mark before him, but yet he was able to find his own path and find his fame and make his mark in the industry. And Owen had the same gifts. Owen could have probably went further than Bret did, but his, candle went out a lot sooner because of the unfortunate circumstances. And I hate that there's been so much turmoil for Bret between him and Vince, and between the way they handled Owen's death, and they continued the pay-per-view that day after he had died in the ring. That's always been bad blood between Bret and Vince over that. He said if it had been Shane, the venue would have been closed, people would have been refunded, that would have been the end of the. But Bret Hart is easily my most favorite professional wrestler.
Very good. And who follows him, 2 and 3 for you?
Let's go with The Undertaker, number 2, just out of pure respect and the longevity of his career. And he's a locker room leader, and he's been able to change his gimmick successfully so many times. And he's just, easily, if I didn't have such a personal love and respect for Bret, Undertaker would easily be number 1 for me. But we'll put Taker in the second slot. And then rounding out number 3, we'll go with Kurt Angle.
Okay, very good. It's true.
I love technical wrestlers. I love the old-fashioned, like the back and forthness of a technical match.
And Kurt Angle, just speaking of his talents, obviously Bret Hart was a tactician in the ring, and The Undertaker's one of the best, if not the best, big men that's ever been in the squared circle.
Absolutely.
But Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. You don't get a better pedigree to come in as far as a skill level. But that guy ended up being extremely funny too on the mic. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He blossomed as a character. It's just sad that Bret left right as Kurt was coming in. I would have loved to see that torch being passed to Kurt by Bret as the tactician of the company.
Yeah, that would have been actually really neat to see them square off with each other and have like a long feud. That would have been fun to watch for sure. I remember watching Kurt Angle, not initially, because initially his gimmick wasn't really working. I think once he ended up being just this, when he turned heel, I thought it was great for him. He was fantastic as a heel, and then he became kind of like a Steve Austin.
Yeah.
He became and I'm now the words are slipping from me, but it's like an anti-hero. He became an anti-hero. It's got a guy like the Punisher that's not necessarily a good guy. He kind of definitely crosses the line, but he is a good guy. And so for me, I would have gone The Rock. I would have said Stone Cold Steve Austin. And if I were to go back into the 80s, one of my favorite guys was Jake the Snake Roberts. But I mean, I could name so many, like Junkyard Dog, Coco Beware, all these guys that had like super flashy gimmicks. I ate it hook, line, and sinker. But those would have been my top three. What about from the new era of wrestling?
From like 2002 forward?
Yeah, from
like
to the people right now.
Randy Orton and John Cena's era forward.
Sure.
You got to think about 2002. What a mega year this was for this business. You had Brock Lesnar, you had Batista, you had John Cena, and you had Orton, all graduated from Ohio Valley Developmental of WWE the same year. And they were all introduced into the main roster as new upcoming talent. They had spent a year cooking these guys. And they had all been scouted, and people could tell these are guys that are going to make Vince a lot of money. They have the it factor.
Oh, they did. And before you answer that, people in the chat are going. Cody Spring says Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Yeah,
he's a favorite. Nightwalker says Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Dusty Rhodes, Sting. I mean, we can just rattle off names and names.
Yeah.
I remember liking the Warrior. I remember being attracted to his character, but he wasn't super favorite. I like this promos
very often. Warrior was like a really rare attraction, even more rare than Taker. I mean, he didn't wrestle that often, and you never saw him on television. It was only pay-per-view.
Right. Same. That was like Andre the Giant for me. I know he wrestled on TV before, but I didn't see him. I just saw him, when he came out in WrestleMania 3 when he fought against Hogan, and when he did that whole angle leading up to it, where I think it's in Piper's Pit, where he grabs Hogan's and like rips his chest.
Yeah, rips the.
I was going to say he rips his crucifix. Yeah,
right. That was very symbolic. That was a time in Andre's life, and I'm sure you're going to love the HBO special that's going to be airing.
Can't wait.
I'd say we all are salivating at the mouth to see that. It's going to be so interesting. That's in a stage of Andre's life where he was so unhappy with his career, with what he had become, what the business was changing to, how he could not adapt to all the new talent Vince kept bringing in. And he was being pushed to the corner, and he's a big guy. And the last thing you want to do to a big guy is push him. So he was just so unhappy creatively. And he was in so much pain, and for him to pass the torch to Hogan the way he did took a lot from him.
Well, but I think he liked Hogan because they worked together quite a bit, and I actually recently saw a match when Hogan first came in, and Hogan even had a hairy back in this match. It was crazy, and he actually they did not wrestle. Hogan did not look weak in that match. Hogan was actually, when they clinched together, he wasn't getting destroyed like he should have been. Like you saw it leading up and in the match of WrestleMania. Hogan hadn't taken he was obviously larger than life, but he wasn't as large as Andre. But I think obviously his crotchetiness in reference to Andre, it was because he was experiencing tremendous pain and traveling for him. You think about guys like Big Show, that the reason that his career has been sustained so long is he ended up having that surgery for the pituitary gland. And then because he had some money, he's able to buy like a large bus that can carry him comfortably, where you would have a sleeping quarters and everything. From traveling from venue to venue, because can you imagine? I can't imagine. I'm not, I'm a 6 foot, 230 pound guy. If I go on a plane right now, I'm not going to be comfortable. I can't imagine being almost 7 foot tall, over 400 pounds, fitting in seats, just super uncomfortable with all that weight for your back, knees.
I think they'd stick him in the stewardess seats because there was no other way to accommodate him.
Yeah, and so of course he's going to be miserable. Plus, all the other physical maladies that were coming due to his size. So before you answer, because I cut you off, your top three favorite, you started with Randy Orton, etc. We got we had 17 just a second ago, and now we're back down to 13, but that's still more than we had before. What I mentioned is, if you guys are interested in coming on the talk, we're gonna once we start talking about the matches for WrestleMania, we'll bring you on the panel, and we'll just continue on the discussion. So Harry, three favorite new era wrestlers.
You got to put John Cena in that conversation. I'm going to put him number one, because even though it took me a long time for me to accept him as he got over, when he went from his Thugonomics character to what he is now, he's proved it in the ring. A lot of people hold over his head that he only has 5 moves. The shoulder block gets tiring. I mean, but I mean, the guy has added to his repertoire over the years. He's doing like his version of a sunset flip. He's added to what he can do.
The guy does a leg drop from the top rope. The guy lands on his keister from the top rope.
Right.
To me, that's pretty amazing. He is not a small dude, and he is probably the strongest guy in that organization. I don't care how Braun Strowman is being always like he's this monster. He is. Mm-hmm. John Cena is so strong that he's able, from sitting down, he is able to pick guys up. Yeah, guys that are not 150 pounds, guys that are not 250 pounds. We're talking about guys that are 280 to 300 that he can pick up from the ground.
When he goes from the ground roll up to an AA conversion, it's incredible.
It's amazing.
After delivering an AA, he immediately hops over, rolls over, lifts him up. When he double AAs like that, the guy's a machine.
If you guys, if you guys want to get a feeling for what this is, go ahead and lay on your back and try to get up off the ground without using your hands. Just go ahead, just lift yourself up. Just use your own weight. I can't do it. In the water. I wouldn't do it. So John Cena. Who else?
Let's go with AJ Styles.
Okay, AJ Styles. So he's new to me. He's new to me for these last few years, even a little bit before WWE, because I watched him in I think he was in TNA. Correct? Is that where he came from?
Correct. That's where he made his big impact. How convenient, Impact's the name of their program. But
sure.
What if I told you way back in 2002, he had a WWE tryout on television against John Cena? And they're both young. They're both young in their careers. And they just told AJ, you have bright future. Good luck on your future endeavors. And they let him go. They passed on it.
Yeah.
And now he's the WWE champion.
Yeah. Now they've, because we're a lot smarter. The fans are a lot smarter than we used to be because of all the social media, all the different avenues that we have to these wrestlers. And the guy is uber talented. Maybe he doesn't necessarily, he's one of the smaller guys. He doesn't have a great impressive look, but they've moved away from that. And now they're giving chances to people that are not just talented physically, but also
that's exactly how our dad feels about AJ. He does not see anything impressive about him physique wise.
And he doesn't. He doesn't have an impressive physique.
He's such an athlete, though. He's so insane what he can do.
Well, let's get this straight. I mean, compared to you and me, he's got a phenomenal. He's got a phenomenal, unintended.
Well, in my dad's words, he'll say he's too skinny. He'll never be champion.
Well, you should probably take him live. Take your dad to a live event so he can actually see these guys in person, and then. Because in comparison to these other humongous men, these guys look like average size, but compared to us, these guys are monsters, all of them, including AJ Styles. He's going to be you'll notice him if he walks into a room. Okay, the guy's fairly built. It's just in comparison, to somebody like Braun Strowman. You can't. It's not a fair comparison. Let me see. Chasing Rob says top 5 for me are Hogan, Warrior, Sting, Flair, and The Rock.
Sting should definitely be in that conversation.
Sting was one of my favorite guys to watch for sure.
I love that Goldberg acknowledged Sting last night.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. We're going to get to that. I could. Fig Life Miami says I could do that. He's talking about laying on his back and getting up.
Yeah,
I could do that holding my beer. He says.
He's like, hold my beer. Let me flip up.
That's what he said.
And at the same time, he would find like a rare Marvel Legend underneath the floor panel of a TRU while he was doing it.
You got to ask him where he got that knowledge from, though, Harry. Okay.
I know.
You got to get that knowledge.
The inspiration, yeah.
Let me see. There was a question here that I saw. The architect says, "Well, Braun Strowman, who's Braun Strowman's partner?" We will get that when we get to the WrestleMania matches. So stick around. We'll be talking about that.
I have a great answer for that when we get to that.
Fig Life Miami says, "What do you guys think about Ronda Rousey?" We're going to get to that too. I think it's great that she's in WWE. Just your quick remarks, Harry. What do you think
about Ronda? My reaction to Ronda joining WWE is she's brought a lot of new watchers who are probably converting from UFC to WWE.
Yeah, you're going to have a whole new world of fans for sure.
That's a good thing. And the women's division as a whole has transformed so much. And they just keep developing this pool of women, wrestlers, female performers. They're no longer divas. They are superstars. The women matches have really upped the quality of the product. And that used to be the part where, it's time to get something to eat when a women's match was coming on pay-per-view.
Well, that may be, I'll just show my hand right away. I think for that battle royal for me, I'll be getting something to eat during that.
That's your break session.
Well, that's going to be early on, unless you tell me something later that convinces me that I really need to pay attention to that or not. All right, Action Figure Collector, just send me a message on Facebook with your email, and I'll add you to the chat later on. Chris Smith says Ronda is good, but she needs to work on her mic skills.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. There's always room for improvement. She is brand new.
She is brand new, and she was training in secret. And we'll see. We'll see what she looks like in the ring, because the proof is going to be in the pudding on WrestleMania to see what she looks.
There's a lot of potential for Ronda to make this something that she can be remembered for more than what she got accomplished in UFC. If she wants it.
I agreed. I think what they're saying is they improve on mic skills, that she definitely needs to come out of her shell a little bit where that comes out. But I think that could be trained from her, because she definitely has a fun personality. But her skill set, she's already probably more athletic than 99% of the roster, in my opinion, based on what she was able to do. We're talking about an Olympic medalist in judo. She can handle herself in the ring, and especially in the clinch, all the strength moves. She's going to be able to handle all those things, and she's going to be able to lift bigger women, which will, who knows if there's a Nia Jax match with her in the future. Who knows what angle there's going to be, but obviously she's got a long way to go. But I think the transition is going to be easier for her, because she is already coming from a very physical sport. This is think about all these phenomenal guys that we've had in the past that have that type of background. You got Kurt Angle. I mean, we can just name a ton of all these ex-football players. What's that?
Ken Shamrock.
There you go, Shamrock. He looked good in the ring.
Look at the tragedy that is of Ken Shamrock's WWF career. The best he amounted to was an Intercontinental Championship run. He never developed on the mic ever. He was stupid on the mic.
Yeah.
But he was fun to watch in a brawl.
Yes.
He was fun to watch in a hardcore match.
Yeah.
So he was typecast to that match only.
Yep.
His career fizzled. He had no backstage politics.
No.
He didn't know how to get along with Vince. If you don't know how to get along with Vince, you're not going to last.
Yeah, and plus his personality. I've been a huge fan of Ken Shamrock from back in his Pancras days.
How could you not be? The guy's incredible human.
I loved that.
Lion Den.
Yeah, the Lion Den. That's right. All the way back. I mean, in the late '90s. That's when I started watching him.
That's when you got an MMA kick. Yeah, that was fantastic. When MMA really took the combative sport world by storm. Pride in Japan, Pride FC. And there was just a different,
But the thing with Shamrock, though, is that he did not. You can tell he just didn't have the personality for that. He could not talk.
The showmanship. He just had no showmanship.
His battle like with Tito Ortiz, like even Tito Ortiz is terrible on the mic, but he was way better than Shamrock. You know, it was
very terrible on the mic. But he was able to handle.
Brock Lesnar's terrible on the mic too. You could have given him a mouth.
A mouth, yeah.
And maybe that's what he needed. He needed somebody that he.
Lesnar's bad on the mic. He's terrible on the mic.
Right. I mean, you can have him say a few lines, but beyond a few lines, that's just not his thing. That's not his thing. That's not his thing. Who's the greatest heel of all time? In your opinion?
Triple H.
You would say that Triple H is greater than Ric Flair as a heel?
Yes, I would.
Wow. I don't know if I can agree with you on that one. He
married the boss's daughter. It doesn't get more heel than that.
But he was allowed to marry the boss's daughter because he was a good guy. He was known to be a good guy, and that's why he was okay. He's definitely very smart, and he can play. I just saw somebody running behind.
To this day, Triple H is the biggest heel in the business still.
All right, what do you guys think in the chat? Ric Flair, I would say, is the greatest heel of all time.
Do a poll if you can.
You guys just put Flair. You could do Flair or Flair. Just kidding. Flair, nice. Triple H, or someone else. All right, let's. As these guys are doing that, who do you think is the greatest babyface?
Greatest face, probably The Rock.
Okay, but
he could be a great heel too, though. What's so great about him?
Yeah, he could play both.
He turned it on with a snap. Heel to face with a snap of his fingers.
Jeff.com says The Undertaker. You think he? I don't know, Jeff. I don't know about that. I think he was
Taker as the best face. He's in the conversation for sure, but I don't know if I'd give him the top spot.
Okay, Chasing Rob wants to know who is better, Horseman, DX, or NWO?
Oh, DX. Faction Wars?
DX.
And you're a WCW guy, and you're saying DX.
DX. Let me tell you, one of my favorite guys. One of my favorite guys of all time is Razor Ramon. Okay, I love him. Ramon.
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall is.
Have you watched the 30 for 30 on him?
Yeah, I did. It was good.
Oh my God, I was in tears after watching that.
Yeah, it was very good. I think DX because they revolutionized they defined the Attitude Era, which is probably the greatest wrestling era to date. That's why I would say them. Obviously, the NWO had a large part to that, but I would put them. And then, but the Horsemen, though, maybe I shouldn't have spoken so soon. The Horsemen, were the longest lasting. I think, right? And the staple. I think maybe if the Horsemen happened more when there was more media available, I think they would have had, they would have been quite different,
right? The fact that the Horsemen have inducted so many members too diluted. There's been so many variations of the Horsemen.
Well, same way the NWO, right? The NWO.
It doesn't get bigger than that.
Yeah, the NWO had the NWO White and the NWO Red Team.
It was watered down to the max.
They were like the X-Men.
There was no one left in WCW. They came all to work one day and they were all NWO and like, oops.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to get beat up.
So these guys are saying, okay, so Jetson Osgood agrees with me. He says Flair, greatest heel. Chris Smith says DX, hands down. And thank you, Nicholas. It is I do like this Deadpool shirt.
Can I tell you my Ric Flair story when I met him?
Oh, you've met Ric Flair.
I was working. I was trying to make. I told you privately that I was trying to find a way into the geek nerd comic industry. And I worked a big convention in Rhode Island, Rhode Island Comic Con 2016 in November. And the booth I was working as a vendor was adjacent to the media table for Ric Flair and his wife, where he was doing autographs. So we were literally 4 or 5 feet away from each other all day long, 3 days in a row. So before the public was allowed to come in, I'd run into Rick and his wife, and Steamboat was always over there trying to get some of Ric Flair's people to come to his little smaller table to buy his signature. And, he would come and hug Rick and then ask some of Rick's fans, do they want his signature too? But I got to meet Rick over the course of 3 days.
So Ricky Steamboat, though, as far as personality wise, I mean, he was a phenomenal in-ring performer. He's one of the best, but personality just, he needed somebody like Jake Roberts in a feud. He needed somebody like Ric Flair who could talk in a feud to carry that feud, at least in mic wise. That's just my opinion. So good guy or bad guy? How'd you find him in person?
Rick, a great guy.
Did you party with Rick?
No, I wasn't allowed to do that.
I'm just kidding.
I would have, believe me, I would have taken the offer.
Oh my gosh. I heard that he partied hard.
I'll tell you what he did. There was a paraplegic gentleman, young man, who paid for his signature and his autograph photo. Rick gave the kid his money back, went around the table, hugged the guy, took a picture with him, gave him an autograph, and didn't charge him anything.
That's great. That's good.
And the guy's parents were there with him because obviously he can't go anywhere without help. So they were so moved and touched by Flair doing that, and he just did that.
Yeah.
Not even a split second. So I saw that firsthand. And, I've seen a lot of scalpers trying to take pictures of him from the sides and stuff without paying. And, the convention would have to deploy people to move those guys because I've seen him put up with the best of humanity and the worst all in that event. And he was actually not scheduled to be there Sunday. He was only Friday and Saturday attraction. But the New England people that lived out there were so good to him that he came back Sunday on his own just because he wanted to. So,
best in-ring performer?
Bret Hart. Yeah, I'm
that's right. He's your favorite. That's right. So I can't say anything. I think an argument can be made for a strong argument can be made for Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was definitely the yang to Bret's yin.
Too bad those guys didn't get along, because if they actually got along and they wouldn't have had the issue, they could have had some phenomenal feuds.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch what went down in WrestleMania 12, I mean, the Iron Man match.
Yeah.
I mean, blow for blow, those guys, there was no breaks in that match for an hour straight.
Yeah. And people don't really understand what that is because I don't think we really have a good concept of what that is. I think people that do wrestling, like legitimate, like Greco-Roman wrestling, they understand what that is, or UFC, obviously, jiu-jitsu practitioners. They understand how fatiguing that can be. I'm telling you right now, if you and I started wrestling around, we'd be fatigued in probably about 20 seconds or less. You know what I'm saying? And
I'm going to say 4 minutes, but 20 seconds sounds more realistic.
4 minutes, Harry. Please, player. Come on.
You're right.
4 minutes.
You're right. You're right. I agree.
Maybe if we were both wrestling for a burger, you can get us to wrestle around.
4 minutes is definitely on the table.
So these guys are already anticipating my next question. Best talker in the business. Who would you say?
Man, so many that are, Rock.
Top three. Give me top three. Okay, The Rock. That's who
The Rock,
for me too.
Then Stone Cold, and then
Ric Flair, baby. Come on. We've already thrown out his name there.
Can't do it. I can't. Shawn Michaels.
All right. So here's Chasing Rob's. And Chasing Rob, did you send me your email? But you should probably be talking about the WrestleMania match because you like wrestling, obviously. Chasing Rob says The Rock, Stone Cold, Flair. So we've named those three. And then he puts Cena and Miz. That Miz is interesting.
In the modern era, I mean.
Yeah, you got Cena. That guy is pretty darn phenomenal. But you know who we've all left out, guys?
Who?
Brock Lesnar.
The
Paul
Jew.
Heyman. Paul Heyman, by far, I think toe-to-toe can go with any of those guys, and I think he is the number one talker in the business. He can pump. Look what he did last night in the awards. He cut a promo and introduced Goldberg that nobody else wanted to introduce. And he did a phenomenal job. Doesn't have any notes. Every time he talks, it is phenomenal. It's engaging, it's witty, it's funny, it's thought-provoking, it's anger-provoking, it's emotional. All these guys have that in common. You got your Ric Flairs. You got. I apologize if I blew out your eardrums when I did by Brock Lesnar. But you have John Cena is pretty impressive too. The Rock, they're just able to talk without any help. Triple H. Last night I noticed something in the award ceremony, and I'm not putting a down on him because he's definitely a great talker. He's one of the best. Mm-hmm. But if you can see when he was doing the introduction, he was reading off a teleprompter. You can.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he's scanning, and then he would go to the middle and then move on. He just did it very well. He scanned very well, but you can see him looking. Harry, watch it back, and you'll see. Some of these guys, I'm sure he obviously during the Attitude Era, what was scripted during the Attitude Era, okay? Phenomenal talker, but he's definitely in the top category. But I think for me, Paul Heyman. How about Bobby the Brain Heenan? What about Bobby the Brain Heenan?
Bobby. Yeah, legend, absolute legend.
What about and this is the last question before we start getting into, and let me see what these guys are putting over here. The Macho Man Randy's. Here, I do a terrible Macho Man. I need. Ooh, yeah. We need. That was both terrible. Snap into it, Slim Jim. Jesse Sanchez does Jesse Chavez. I don't know where I got the Sanchez from. Jesse does the best Macho Man I've ever heard. Yeah, Jesse does the best Macho Man for sure. Joey was saying Macho Man Randy Savage, and he made me.
He's a good trash talker.
He could cut a promo. He was a very good. He could cut a promo. Jake the Snake Roberts was great at cutting promos.
Well, I'll tell you who the most incoherent promo doer is. The Warrior.
The Warrior. Yeah.
He would just freak out, and he would space out, and he would
go
tripping. He was literally tripping.
Oh my Warriors!
We're gonna get in the rocket ship and we're gonna fly away.
I wish I could. I can't imitate him because
yeah.
As incoherent as I can
later.
He was an interesting for sure. All right, what is your best wrestling moment or most memorable wrestling moment for you?
Most memorable for me was when Bret finally got his hands on Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13, and he had him in the sharpshooter, and he was bleeding, and he would not let the sharpshooter go, and Stone Cold didn't tap. So really, Bret really wasn't in the wrong. And to this day, I feel passionate about Shamrock tackling Bret off of Stone Cold because he wouldn't release the hold. And so that would be the moment that I felt so much vindication when Bret won the way he won, because Austin had been giving Bret hell for like a year straight.
And that's one of the best matches, I think, in the history of
WWE. I mean, they went at it like when they were outside and Bret was choking him with the camera cords, and
that was one of my favorite matches too. I think
to this day that match holds up. That match holds up.
You know, Stone Cold is known for his the Stone Cold Stunner and drinking beer and just hating the boss.
But he was a tactician too.
But he was a tactician too.
He was, but he was a more brutal version of it.
Well, and then when Bret had him in that sharpshooter and he's bleeding, his face is just bleeding, and it's real blood, guys. And they mentioned like the fake blood. These guys used to blade themselves.
Yes,
they would blade themselves.
Where?
Oh my gosh!
Where would blade himself?
Well, did you see Devon? You can see the scars on Devon's forehead. Tell me that guy didn't blade himself.
Let me tell you one more Flair story, and it's not my story. It's from someone I know who's a collector.
Go for it.
A guy owns a comic shop. I'll be as quick as I can. When he was a little boy, his parents would take him to North Carolina, which is not far from where we are in Virginia. and he saw Flair wrestle when he was a kid. And like usual, at the end of the match, Flair was dripping in blood, and he was leaving. He was tired. He was exhausted. It was a 45-minute match. It was non-televised. And there's this guy, this comic book owner, when he's a kid, and Flair is approaching him. He's sitting on the outskirts toward the exit of the ring. And he says, "Mr. Flair, can I have your autograph?" He has a plain white piece of paper. Flair stamps his head with his own blood and puts the bloody handprint on the white paper. And this kid feels like he just won the lottery. This guy who now flips stuff for a living, he's a comic book store owner. You know, if he had that, his parents made him throw it away that night.
Man.
There was no way they were going to take blood-borne pathogens. I mean,
well, it's dry blood.
Mom made him throw it away. There was no. And he said, if my mom only knew what kind of line of work I was going to end up in and what that paper would have been worth.
Wow.
Like the hand of Sauron, but blood, you know?
Yeah, pretty cool. The Thor 2941 has joined us. What's up, dude? Chasing Rob says his most memorable match for him was Hogan and Warrior. It certainly was.
Excellent. Sky Dome.
But you know what I like looking back at it, Hogan was such a piece, man, because he lets him go over, right? But he has to just like kick out like barely at the end. Come on, man. He's so egotistical. Where nowadays guys are more, and you know, that's the different type of era. It's old school mindset.
Doing the favor.
Right. Yeah.
It's not putting you over. It's
a favor.
One day you will be asked to do the favor.
Sure.
Remember, as I'm giving you this favor tonight.
Yeah. Now, and money talks nowadays too. So
the money's been talking for a long time, bro.
The Thor says his most memorable moment was Hogan versus Andre in WrestleMania 3. That's a moment like when Andre. When Andre was being shuffled out in that cart, and it was with Bobby the Brain Heenan, and they're being shuffled in the. It was a long walk to the ring. I forget where.
Yeah, they had that little ring that they drove him in, so he didn't have to walk it.
Yeah, I just remember.
They were throwing a lot of garbage at Andre too, the audience.
Yeah, because
you don't see that anymore. I love when garbage gets thrown in the ring, like when Hogan was revealed as the third man in NWO.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much trash? Like, who brought that much trash with them to the show? How did they?
Different.
I think they were going and getting the cans out of the arena so they had ammunition.
Yeah, man, those were some memorable moments. The trash. Yeah, I remember just things flying in the ring, just flying.
That one fat guy actually climbed in there and like Hall kicked him in the head, so he wouldn't get in the ring.
My most memorable moment, just to move it on so we can get talking, because we've already been on for a little bit over an hour. My most memorable moment, and you'll agree, tables, ladders, and chairs match when Jeff Hardy Jeff Hardy gets speared by Edge off the top of the ladder. I remember just seeing that.
WrestleMania 2000. Yeah,
guys, if you haven't seen that.
I love that all 6 of them were on stage last night taking a bow about what they did that night.
Right, and so we're going to transition to talking about that now. We're going to move on. Obviously, the Hall of Fame inductions happened last night. Any standout moments for you, Harry, that you want to talk about?
Goldberg giving the nod to Sting as telling Sting, no matter what I did in the short time I was in your federation, you were the face. You were the face of WCW, and I acknowledge it. I thought that was really cool.
That was cool, but he's just he's terrible on the mic. I wish he would have. I wish he would have gone off an outline. I know he had a piece of paper there, and he said, "Well, you know, this is going to be as short as my matches."
He lied, as you said.
You even quoted it on your Instagram.
I saw your comment on IG. You're like, "Yeah, right."
But he just, and I know it's the last one, and it's been going on for over 3 hours, and it was long, and it was just terrible. He kind of looked foolish, but I think he's getting set up for something, Harry. Do you think he's going to be coming in tomorrow's WrestleMania?
He's going to be in the Battle Royal. He is. That's a surprise entrance.
So do you think he wins it? You know
No, I
what?
do not.
I guess we can. I guess we can just talk about that, and we can skip it because I don't
He's
want to.
going to compete in it, but he's not going to win.
Who do you think wins that battle royal?
I believe.
Big
I
Cass?
believe Elias Sampson is going to win.
Elias.
I like Elias,
Where
and
did he come from?
I'll tell you where he came from. He's actually Vince's blood on his mother's side.
Okay.
Vince hates his mother's side. And if you don't know why, Vince grew up very poor. And until Vince Sr. found Vince Jr., because he didn't know he had Vince Jr. until well into Vince's teenage life, he discovered he had his son with this one time,
Fling.
nightcap. So he got his son from his mother, constantly had different men in the home that would abuse Vince, slap him around. It was that kind of situation. He grew up in a broken home with a mom who did not put her child first. But when he discovered who he was a McMahon and he was Vince Sr.'s son, he never thought about that part of his life again. But Elias comes from that side of his blood. Nothing has been given to Elias.
From what I've seen, he's very talented. He's really good musically.
He's got mic skills. He's got the physique. He's a tactician in the ring.
Okay.
He can control the crowd. They almost want to cheer him, but then he puts them down. He's got ring crowd control. I mean, he's got all the tools to be a main event player if Vince will allow him to be. Which I believe if Hunter has his way, and eventually Vince will give the reins to Hunter because Vince wants to make the XFL come back, he won't be able to do both. So he's going to give Triple H the reins of WWE. I believe Elias has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in action. I've just seen him on the mic playing the guitar, and it reminded me of The Rock.
They let him manhandle John Cena like a month ago or so. Very, very entertaining match. And he didn't seem like, you remember when the first class of NXT came up, the one that Daniel Bryan came from? How easily Cena took out those guys one-on-one, like he made them look like rookies, like they were. When Cena fought Elias, Cena was trying to catch his breath. Elias wouldn't let him. It was he controlled the tone of the match.
Wow, well that's exciting to hear. So
that's a big old chip in Elias's shoulder. The guy's got a bright future. It's just the fact that he comes from Vince's mom's side is going to hurt him, I feel.
Gotcha. So some of the other, Hall of Fame inductees, we're not going to talk about the legacy ones, but just mainly the ones that we were, they're still alive and familiar to us. You had Ivory, Jeff Jarrett, Hillbilly Jim, Mark Henry, the Dudley Boys. And what did you think about the Dudley Boys' entrance into the Hall of Fame and their speech?
First of all, I met Devon last year at the live show I went to. He wasn't lying. He is on The Office now. He was running the live show that I went to from a little compound area of the arena set to the side where my seat happened to correlate with. And I actually talked to Devon the whole night. And he was running that show. He had a director under him. So I love that he brought that up during his retirement. But Bubba has chosen to keep doing what he's doing in the independents, even though instead of just enjoying his retirement from the business, he's still in the thick of it in the independent scene, like wrestling.
Sure. Yeah, some of these guys it's like a drug. They can't let it go. It's been their whole life. It's what they've always wanted to do. You can hear it when they talk about the business, and they talk about the business as being this like holy. It's like it is an idol for these guys, and some of them can't let it go. What I did appreciate, I love the Dudley Boys. They were very fun to watch in Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW. And they were fun to watch. I think they had really good chemistry, and they did a really good job to kick off the show last night. They definitely set the tone for because I can't watch the really boring people. For example, let me just transition to
Hillbilly Jim.
Oh, Hillbilly,
that killed
faster
my dad.
Player.
That killed my dad too. My dad was like physically sick after his
Oh
speech.
man, it was
He
just
wanted to watch the news so bad.
yeah, Hillbilly.
Instead of Hillbilly Jim.
I remember, I'm a fan of Hillbilly Jim. It's just that, his drawl was just his cadence was too slow. It wasn't fast enough to keep me interested. And it was so boring. I couldn't even listen to his stories. It was really bad. And then we transitioned to like Mark Henry. It was,
Loved his speech.
yeah. What do you think?
Best speech of the night. Best speech of the night. And the fact that it's a 20-year career that's closing there. And Goldberg, I mean, he doesn't even have half that, I don't think, of active in the ring. Maybe 10, 12 years.
No, definitely. This is somebody again with a lot of pedigree coming in. He was an Olympic medalist.
Yes.
The world's strongest man. Impressive. You know what I always thought about Henry, very impressive to me. He wasn't the greatest on the mic, but he was really good at selling his characters. And he did his sexual chocolate bit a little bit last night.
They weren't going to let him go through that without bringing that up. They had to roast him in that way.
Yeah.
I'm sure if it had been his decision, he'd said, let's just leave it, me ending it on a non-sexual chocolate note. But they're like, no, you have to, Mark.
Oh, I mean, that's a large part of his career. A lot of it that helped him get over with the fans. He even says that Mae Young and who was the other, China, he dropped her name as well, that really helped get over that character. And it was very successful for him. And this is what I was going to say. He's kind of like it's almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality. When he's like dead stone face serious and he's looking like an angry man that's just gonna kill you, but when he smiles, it's like the brightest smile. Like you want to meet this guy. He seems like he's the friendliest dude on earth. To me, that's pretty impressive that somebody can play two distinct characters very easily. And kudos to him and congratulations to him. Not that he's ever going to watch this, but I was a fan of his. I also like Jeff Jarrett's speech. He could barely get through it.
Weird moment. That was a super weird moment for me to see Jarrett at the Hall of Fame.
So what? Go ahead, speak on that.
I mean, just the way he departed WWF, and the fallout between him and Vince, and everything he said and trashed on the McMahon name since he ran Impact into the ground multiple times.
So he's the one that started Impact with, or he was just a figurehead for Impact?
A little bit of both. I mean, I don't know all the business end of it, but he's a major reason that it started. And then when he lost control of it, he tried to do the Global Force Wrestling, and that failed. I mean, it's just it just goes to show you McMahon will repair any relationship for good business reasons.
And I think a lot of it has, and it has actually been documented, is Triple H that's the one that's good at mending fences. So, people that were CM Punk fans that think he's never going to come back.
Right. It gives me hope. The fact that Jared was there last night, that Punk can be in that category too one day.
Well, when you have Goldberg, you had the Warrior. Talk about
that was a lot of bad blood between Vince and Warrior.
Yeah. So I don't know all the stories about Jeff Jarrett. I wasn't familiar with Jeff Jarrett in the WWF, although I did watch him in the WWF, or was it WWE at the time that he was there? I can't recall.
Slap nuts. That's all I can really remember is just slap nuts gimmick.
But I was more familiar with him from the other circuits. And I used to watch him on Saturday morning on what was that? The NWA. I think it was like the NWA that he was on. His
dad was one of the original territory guys, Jarrett Sr.
Right. And I remember him for some reason with, around the same time where I would watch Cornette and when he was managing, the different people he managed. I could be wrong on that, but I don't remember him in the WWF for very long. I know.
How awkward was it last night? The fact that Jarrett is up there and in the audience is Kurt Angle's ex, who's Jarrett's wife. Jarrett stole Kurt Angle's wife while Kurt worked for him in Impact.
And they were still married?
While they were married, Jarrett hooked up with his wife, and now Jarrett is married to her.
I did not
Karen
know that.
Angle.
That I did not know.
Yeah, there was kids involved and everything. That had to be super awkward. Sure, Angle is remarried now and he has new kids, and that had to be weird for Kurt.
Perhaps.
Well, I mean, just a year ago, Kurt was in Jeff's position, being asked to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, wait a second. I was thinking Kurt Angle?
Kurt Angle.
I completely missed that. Oh, okay. Oh, man. That is awkward.
She was an attention harlot, as Dr. Pest says.
So, here's the deal with that, though. We really don't know all the backstory to that. Who knows what Kurt Angle was doing himself?
Know what the wrestling websites report. So
yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there's a lot of truth to it, but there's a lot of thing in the story that you miss. So I'm willing to give people the benefit of the doubt, since especially I'm not in the know. But still, yeah, that is very uncomfortable. I wish I would have known that watching that. I would have made it more interesting.
Hashtag awkward moment.
What do you think about Kid Rock getting inducted into the Hall of Fame?
My dad is a huge Kid Rock fan for some reason.
Alexa, play American Badass. Alexa's also a fan. Alexa, play American Badass.
Here's a sample of American Badass.
Let's see if I can. Alexa, stop. Okay, good. I didn't want to get a copyright strike. I thought he did a good job. I enjoy entertainment. I think he's a very talented guy, and he's obviously been very connected to the WWE, and he's a friend of the WWE. Did I miss anybody? Ivory spoke.
Ivory, I didn't know that she was part of Glow. That was new on me.
She seems like a fun personality, but it was kind of weird. Her
speech was very weird.
She's never been married, so she did it. She talked about a wedding.
That was really awkward, for everyone in present.
It was very.
I did not know that she was one of the original Glow girls, though. That's interesting.
Well, I watched Glow probably a couple of shows. It wasn't something I watched a lot, and
like if you were bored enough and you didn't feel like changing the channel, you would watch it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I had other things to do watching that. I wasn't a huge fan.
Oh.
All right. So we're going to get into, hold on a second. Karen was always attention. Oh, did you hear about Karen and Strowman?
No, I didn't.
No, we didn't, Dr. Pest. Dr. Pest, oye, cubano, if you want to come and join the chat, send me your email on Facebook and I'll put you in the chat. Let me see. Let's Cody, you still in here? We got 12 people still in the chat. Cody, if you're still in here, I'll bring you up first since you came on first and you sent me your email first. Chris Smith says, and she was in the Netflix Glow series.
Yeah.
So I am going to bring Cody if he's still on, and then I'll bring Chris on. Oh, Dr. Pest is at work. Okay, well, another time then, brother. So Cody, are you still here? Last call for Cody. If not, we'll be bringing on Chris.
Awesome.
5 seconds. There is a delay, about a 5-second delay. 5, 4, 3, 2, and Chris, I'm going to send you. I think he may have jumped out, and Cody will be jumping back in. All right, let me send you the link to this chat. Give me just a second, fellas. But Chris, I just sent you the link. Just click it on, and you'll have it. And then maybe when Cody gets back, we'll bring him on too. And we're gonna get talking to the main card. We've already kind of touched on the women's battle royal. Anything interesting there, Harry?
Becky Lynch, Hey, Chris.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, Chris?
I mean, I think Becky Lynch has a chance to shine. She's always been like the odd, redheaded, conveniently stepchild of the Four Horsewomen, and I think she could use a noteworthy win under her.
I can't stand this match. I have trouble stomaching the women wrestling anyway.
Really?
But yeah, I do. I just some of them I can. I love Charlotte. I think she's very talented. I like people like girls with
Charlotte's awesome.
Chris, what do you think? Let me bring you on. What's up, Chris? Welcome to the
Hey,
show.
how's it going?
Glad to have
Hey,
you on
how's
here,
it
brother.
going?
Hold your phone sideways if you can. That way you feel the screen. Let me see it. There you go.
There you go.
That works. Good deal.
Cool.
So, what do you think?
Like for the whole Glow series, I used to watch it when I was real young. It was real good to me. Like even though it was kind of a little cheesy a little bit, but I still watched it. And when she said that last night on the whole she was on Glow, I was like, oh yeah, I do seen her on there. I remember like watching on there. And like who was it? She was part of a tag team. I can't remember the name of the tag team though, but her character was also on the Netflix series also.
Which
Who
one?
do you like?
Which one are you talking about?
I can't remember. It's been like I saw like a few months ago, so it's kind of like been a while. But I do remember while I was watching it, her character is on there.
Oh, you're talking about what's her name that got inducted? Ivory. That got
Talking
inducted.
about Ivory. Chris,
So who do you
do you like for the women's Battle Royal Rumble for tomorrow?
What?
Who do you like for the women's Battle Royal tomorrow at WrestleMania?
Ooh.
Is it 20 or 30? Do we know?
I think it's 20. I think it's 20. But I forgot who's all in it though.
Yeah.
I forgot
I'm
who's all
thinking
in
Becky Lynch.
So the
I don't know
odds,
about Becky.
the odds makers are saying that Sasha Banks is going to win it. Was she
Really?
injured?
I'm getting tired of.
I think she's
like,
too busy with her Bailey feud to win it.
Yeah.
Her and Bailey are going to cancel each other out.
Yeah.
See, I really don't know.
I'm hoping in the battle royal, some people from NXT, can come over because I'm like my favorite is a Ember Moon.
Ember Moon is talented. Have you seen her yet, Brock?
Who?
Ember Moon from NXT.
No, I haven't followed it.
She's kind of like a wrestling version of Michonne from The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay. So
she's very fun to watch.
Oh, you know
what? Very talented.
She's got red. What's it called? Contacts. Her eyes are red.
Now, I do remember. I've seen her. So interesting. Maybe they'll give somebody a push because I think that's what these do. Because this is just a filler match. This is just giving, in my opinion, anyways, giving the newer wrestlers an opportunity to be in the biggest stage of them all. I can't imagine who's going to win. I really don't care who's going to win. I'm not really interested in this match at all. But it's part of the show, so I'll be watching it. What about, let's move on because I think we've had about 95% of our people drop out since we started talking about the Women's Battle Royal. I'm just kidding. But the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Let's start with Harry. Harry, who do you got in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
Elias Sampson.
So Harry's got Elias Sampson. What about you, Chris? Who do you think wins that one?
Elias.
All right. So I went on and I Googled the matches, and there's odds on all these matches. You know, people actually bet on who's going to win. People are saying Big Cass is going to win this battle royal. We'll see
there is a chance that could happen, but I believe he's going to make his return tomorrow in a different match, not that one.
Yeah, because
he's going to be Strowman.
He still has that like Braun Strowman partner. Oh, okay.
He's going to be Braun Strowman's mystery tag partner.
Oh, you're getting way ahead of Hey, Harry, this is Life with Brock. Okay, I'm the one
that's why the only reason I don't
come on.
The only reason I don't pick him to win the battle royal is because he's going to be this guy's partner.
And okay, fine. Let's talk about that right now. Let's just skip to that one right now. So why would he be picked as his partner? What
because they're going to get him away from the Enzo cast that we all know and love and build him a new monster build. And what better monster partner than Strowman? They're going to change his character. They want him as different as the cast we know and love that was affiliated with Enzo, who WWE wants to wipe themselves clean of Enzo now.
Yeah.
Because of the rape allegation.
Talked about that.
The what? Harry?
Enzo was involved in some kind of rape allegation, so they fired him.
Oh, so he's done.
So he's not coming back.
Chasing Rob says Cass sucks solo. Interesting.
That's another reason. That's another reason to package him with Braun and have a monster tag team champs. They could beat the Bar, those two monsters.
They could beat the Bar, yeah, for sure.
No other smaller team can beat the Bar right now. They're unbeatable. It
Interesting.
takes
I
takes two monsters to beat the Bar.
I don't know, because I say
then the Bar get a fresh step on SmackDown after the Superstar shakeup, and they get out of the Monsters field of range, and these two behemoths stay in Raw.
Go ahead, Chris. What were you saying?
I think the Usos can easily take them.
Well, they're not on the same brand yet.
Yeah.
Right now, they've already whooped everyone in their division on Raw. The Bar has beaten everyone on Raw, except for Strowman and his mystery partner, a.k.a. Big Cass. Repackage Big Cass. He's not going to be saying bada boom, bada bing. He's going to be there as a monster. He's going to be quiet and he's going to stomp faces.
I hope so.
Well, and he can learn a little bit from Strowman, because actually Strowman, in my opinion, for a big guy, a big fella, he's got good mic skills. I like his mic skills.
And he's hella fast too. Have you seen him run? He runs like a freight train.
Yeah, he's very athletic as a big man. Same with Big Cass. He's very athletic. So I actually
know an interesting thing. Mark Henry discovered Braun Strowman in the powerlifting game. He scouted Braun Strowman for WWE. Mark Henry.
Hey, we got breaking news. Breaking news from my Cuban compadre. Dr. Pest says Strowman's partner is James Ellsworth. Who's that?
That's no chin. Ellsworth is the guy with no chin. He's from the Independents. He looks like a little frail. He's a goofy independent wrestler.
So he's going to be a little tiny guy.
I hope that's not the case.
Well, I think Dr. Pest is onto something here, because that's where I was going to go.
Partner this with a little tiny guy.
Yeah, with an insignificant guy that it would be like he's by himself.
Mm-hmm. But he technically has a partner. Well, you might as well make Alexa Bliss his partner then.
It could be. It can. Is that allowed?
In the mixed max tag thing, it was, but not in competition tag titles.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I don't think that would go. So, but I like your theory, guys. I think if you got Big Cass coming back, and he is coming back because everybody's waiting for him. He's ready to come back from.
I saw him last night at the hall. Did you see him in the audience at the hall?
I did.
Carmella dumped him like 2 months ago. He's got a new girl.
No,
really? He had a new valet. Yeah. Carmella dumped him at his worst when he was injured.
All right, guys. Wow. Are you seeing the different level of nerddom? And this is why I like having people that specialize coming on and speaking with me right now. So I'm a nerd, and I'm a WWE nerd. I'm a mark, but I am not a really large mark like these two guys that know who's dating who. Harry, how in the world do you know this?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask the same question.
Internet.
The internet, he said.
The E network.
The E network.
Oh, really?
She released a press release on the Total Divas finale about there's going to be some emotional scenes between her and Cass on that episode. And in real life, when that episode was airing, she had already dumped him.
Hey, what's up? Overkill 48 has joined the chat. Welcome to the chat. We're talking right now. Wrestlemania for tomorrow. We're going down,
him.
and we were just discussing who was going to be Braun Strowman's partner. Why don't you put down who do you think is going to be Braun Strowman's partner? I'm assuming that since you're in here, you saw WWE WrestleMania, you want to talk about wrestling.
Yeah, Overkill's a huge lifelong, like yourself, he loves ECW. He loves Chris Jericho is the greatest of all time in Overkill's eyes.
Oh, Chris Jericho, talk about another great talker in the business.
And a tactician.
And a tactician. Fantastic to watch. Let me just drop something again in the chat. Those of you that are joining us, if you want to come join us, send me Overkill. Send me a message on Facebook with your email, and I'll put you in the chat. And I'm still waiting for Cody. I think Cody, we may have lost Cody.
Yeah.
We may have lost Cody. But we're going to move on. I need you guys to help school me on this. The 205 pounders who are the 205 pounders. So school me on this, guys. Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali for the Cruiserweight Championship. And I know that Triple H has really been pushing. He pushed the tournament. I didn't watch it, but I heard it was very successful. But can you guys school me on who Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali are?
They're pretty much what's left of a shell of a division that has fallen apart ever since Adrian Neville and Austin Aries left the company. They have not invested in enough 205ers to fill those gaps. I think Alexander's going to be the new champ, though.
You guys got the floor on this. I need some help because I don't know anything about these guys. So if there's not,
let's move on to the next thing.
Well, let's do that. Let me see. Kyle just
there's not much ref to waste on the 205, bro.
Hold on. Let me bring on Kyle Kelly. That's going to be Overkill, correct?
No, Kyle. No, Overkill is Tim Wallace.
Who's Kyle Kelly on here? Is it Thor?
I don't know. Maybe Thor.
Let's see. All right, let's moving on. Before I end up doing that, the next one I have for us to discuss is the United States Championship, the four-way Rusev, Jinder Mahal, Bobby Roode, and Randy Orton. What do you guys think?
That's a very good guess.
That's Action Figure Collector.
So he's going with Rusev, and I'm saying Bobby Roode will win it back.
Well, Rusev, tell me about Rusev's, because I told you, Harry, I haven't really been watching Raw. I try to catch up with the storylines that are happening right now. But last time I watched Raw, Rusev was not over. But my understanding
now he is on SmackDown. He's a face.
That he's a face, and people love this guy. What happened? What was the change? And is Lana still with him?
It's not so different a year or two ago when people just started liking Fandango because he was stupid. It's just the way the fans want. It's nothing to do with his talent. Not that Rusev isn't. Rusev has all the tools to be a main event player, but I think he's happy with this mediocre role he has.
He doesn't want more responsibility. I don't think it's too like that. I just think it's more because off stage, backstage, he's more of a happy-go-lucky guy. He likes to like kid around and joke around, but like this, I think this is his chance to have that way he is backstage on a main stage.
You know, they were going to try and repackage Rusev a while ago and make him come out kind of like the Usos do in street clothes, change his persona. No more talking about Bulgaria. Just have him like be an Action Jackson in the ring kind of dude, and brag on his skills. They almost went with that. They tried it in a few house shows, And the what they got back from the feedback was exactly what you're saying, Chris. People didn't want it.
Yeah, it would have been bad off. It would have been Wizard worse. Even though he's trying to go country in his personal life, but like trying to change up out of his element like that, nah. Because like the way he is now, he's having more fun in the ring, and
What?
everybody's starting to cheer him. And the home dude, what's the guy who's singing his song all the time? What's his name?
Oh, Aiden English.
Yeah, keep singing that song of his all the time. I was okay.
That's Eddie Guerrero's son-in-law. God bless his soul.
What?
Yeah, Aiden English is married to Eddie Guerrero's daughter.
I need to talk to you more often. You got the knowledge, man. You got the knowledge of WWE, man.
Harry's up on those the
I'm trying. I'm trying to become someone that reports on the stuff that everyone else is too busy to learn.
I see you.
And the Thor 2941 says, I liked Rusev as a heel better. Now, interesting because I haven't seen, I think I like his look better. I saw he got a haircut. I thought that grimy hair he got rid of made him look kind of dirty. He looks more athletic now, and the dude's a big dude.
My dad is a big fan of Rusev, not because of his gimmick, because of his physique.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, he's a very impressive looking individual. You can tell that guy is strong as an ox. So, what about the thought that Randy Orton, he's coming to the end of his career, but he still has it. So, Randy Orton.
I see him dropping that title tomorrow. Rude becomes the new United States champion again.
So the odds makers have Orton going over tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah, because Orton, I don't know about Orton. Like, I think right now his career starting to like go down, and he's starting to hang on to everybody talking about like RKO from anywhere. So that's why I think he's like hanging on to like just like that. Because even more now, he's starting to do more RKOs from anywhere, like from the most weirdest. Even though it looks amazing, but it's like they started to do a lot more RKOs now.
Yeah, he's in phenomenal shape for his age.
He's going to go over tomorrow, and I think he's going to move on, and they're going to give him one last run with that title.
Well, we got our choices then. Chris said Rusev. I say Bobby. And Brock, you say Orton.
Nobody says Jinder.
Nobody says Jinder.
Jinder's not.
Jinder's a good wrestler, too.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler.
Well, when you're looking at those four guys, they're all very talented guys. Actually, you know what? Has Randy Orton ever held the United States Championship?
Yes.
Yes, he has.
Has he?
Well, actually, when he won it this last little bit, he became a Grand Slam champ.
Oh, that's
he had never won it until 2 months ago.
That's right. That was a dumb comment. He's the champion right now. You can see how closely I've been paying attention this past year. Let's move on to the next match, though, because we're at an hour and 41 minutes. The Bar versus Braun. And we actually talked about that. Let's move on to the Usos versus the New Day versus the Legend Brothers.
I feel Usos are going to retain.
I'm kind of on the same thing, but I hope the what's name wins though too. I can't really say it. The New Day. Yeah, there you go.
The New Day.
They haven't had the straps in a long time, but I feel an inevitable breakup is coming to the New Day. Big E is going to separate himself from Kofi and Xavier, and he's going to go on a singles run. And he may have to betray his brothers in order to get away with it. He may have to betray Xavier and Kofi. I don't think the New Day is going to stay a team much longer. I think that well has dried up.
Really?
I don't know, because right now they're everywhere. Right now, they're everywhere. And when you look, anything you got to talk about wrestling, they're everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think you can break those guys up. They're too good together, and I don't think they can go on by like without each other right now
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Overkill going with the Bludgeon Brothers.
Now, who are the Bludgeon Brothers? Never heard of them.
Yeah,
That's
never
Harper
heard of 'em.
and Rowan. The leftovers of the Wyatt family who were stuck on SmackDown without a break.
Okay.
Yeah, they're good. I
They
like them too.
repackaged them as even weirder weirdos, and they carry sledgehammers now.
Oh man. Well, how about this swerve? What's the possibility that they make this a TLC match?
Mm. Ooh,
What a TLC match. The one for the tag titles?
Yeah.
yeah.
They won.
You sure? Because the murmurings in the internet is that they're going to make this a TLC match, and the belts are
Oh,
going
I
to be hanging
think
up in
the
the.
universe would love to see it. We would all definitely benefit from that happening. I just
Let me
don't
see.
expect it.
The Usos would probably do really good.
I think Usos are retaining is what I'm going to stick to.
The New Day depends on who's going to be wrestling for the New Day. Is it going to be Big E and Kofi?
I feel Big E is going to turn on his brothers eventually. He's getting frustrated with just being a third banana tag champ.
But
he wants a singles run.
But for this match, who's going in? Who's going in? Who wrestles?
Who's gonna? Usos are going to keep the belt.
No, I'm talking about who's wrestling for the New Day. Which two?
Out of the three, who's sitting it out and who's going to wrestle? Right. I think Xavier's going to be benched on this one. Kofi and Big E.
Yeah. I would say it was like Ian Kofi.
He rarely gets to sit out because he is such an important member of the team. He's the muscle.
Yeah.
What if it's a TLC match?
Still, I would put E in there over Xavier.
Well, you have to put Kofi in for sure in a TLC.
Yeah.
You have to.
I don't expect it to be TLC.
Well, they mentioned TLC a lot. Yeah, they did. And these guys are really good. They're working with the storyline, and they're throwing us little nuggets in there, Easter eggs. You saw the Easter egg thrown out to John Cena, right? The match with the Undertaker.
Yeah, with the Warrior Award recipient.
Yes. Yeah. So they're well, no. I forget who it was. It wasn't the little kid that said it. It was who else? I can't remember who said it, but
Somebody took a crack at Cena about his match, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't like a crack. I think was it Jeff Jarrett or I can't remember who it was. Somebody did.
It might have been Jarrett. Now that you mentioned it.
But I think there's Easter eggs for us to, if we were paying attention to that 3-hour long conversation.
I wasn't.
So Overkill 48 says it's going to be Kofi and a Savior. Yeah, like that's what I feel the TLC match coming, guys. Or it wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have made such a big deal out of it yesterday's. Obviously I could be wrong. This is all speculation on our parts anyway. But it would be cool. Maybe it wasn't Mark Henry. I can't.
He said I should have got that match. He had a little moment with John where they did a storyline where Mark acted like he was retiring like 4 years ago.
I remember,
and it was a hoax. And he said, I should have got a match out of that storyline, and it never transpired.
With The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, guys, I think we're gonna have. I just have a feeling. I would love to see a TLC match, man. I love watching those.
I hope you get it.
Me too. Me too. Okay, the women's championship.
Well, let's not drink it on it too long.
Yeah, that's going to be a squash match. I think Nia Jax obliterates her.
Lex has had it for an ungodly generous time. It's time for her to pass the strap.
Yeah.
All right, so this one's going to be good. I think this match has for the Intercontinental Championship, The Miz, Rollins, and Finn Balor. I think that's going to be a good match.
Miz.
A lot of people are saying that they're going to do Miz the favor and let him keep it tomorrow and lose it the following Monday.
So he's close to setting 2 records. He's setting the record. Who held
Longest
the
IC.
IC? Who held it the longest? I have the name, but it slipped out of my mind right now.
Let's see who had it more than him.
Was it the Honky Tonk Man?
No, it wasn't the Honky Tonk Man. Who was? It was somebody else.
I'm checking Google right now.
All right, go ahead and check Google. It's an older school guy. It's not. I don't remember being like a newer generation guy. Who was it? Was it The Rock's dad? Did The Rock's dad? For some reason, I have The Rock's dad in my head, but maybe it wasn't him. The Thor 2941 says, "I'd love to see a tables, ladders, and chairs match with Undertaker." No, that's not going to happen with Undertaker.
Yeah, he's way too old, man.
Way too old. Yeah. Maybe when he was younger, that would have been awesome to see what he would like destroy people with. Let me see. And the Thor confirmed it was Mark Henry that said that to John Cena. So I think we're good. Let me see. The Miz should win it.
I think Miz is going to retain, and they're going to make him lose it on Raw.
And the Thor is also saying Tito Santana. Was it Tito Santana? That actually sounds right. What's up, Sunspot Reviews? Welcome to the chat. We're talking about the Intercontinental Championship match that's happening between The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor.
Pat Patterson has the record.
Yeah.
Pat Patterson?
Yes.
So there you go. So, he could either set that record or holding it because he's got like 8 title runs, or I can't remember how many The Miz has, but he's just like one off. So he's almost getting close to breaking that title too. All right, moving on. What's up, Chicken Fried Steak, Mr. Holly? Hey, Mr. Holly.
Josh Holly.
This is right up your alley. If you want to come join us, I'll add you to the chat. It looks like Kyle Kelly is not going to be joining us.
If you haven't watched the video on my channel yet, Sandman PR Blog, Josh sent me a massive WrestleMania package that I did an unboxing, and it's filled with amazing Mattel goodness. So you need to check that out.
Oh, wait a second. I'm just getting Kyle Kelly. You're in here. Where are you? Oh, there he is.
On the side.
He's the little action figure right there.
Since when have you been?
Yeah, I'm all the way on the other side there.
What's up, sneaky guy? What's cracking?
Nothing much, man. How you doing?
Good. We don't see your face though, bro. What's happening? I think you clicked on the wrong thing.
Let me see. Is it not working on here? All right, let me see if I can switch over to my phone and see if the camera works on here.
All right, sounds good.
All right, I'll pop out real quick and pop back on.
All right, so where was I? The bar, we've already discussed the bar, or have we discussed? Yeah, we discussed the bar and Braun Strowman, the Usos, Alexa Bliss, The Miz, and people are saying that Finn Balor, the odds makers are picking Finn Balor to win it. And I think they're going to have Miz come back and beat him at a later time so he can have another championship run. Both those guys are great wrestlers, man. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, fun guys to watch. And then the next match we're going to discuss, guys, is Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. What do you guys got?
What kind of shape is Shane really in? What kind of shape is Shane in after what they did to him on that pop-up powerball on the backstage?
He'll be all right. Because he's done
he
lot.
is a McMahon. The McMahons are made out of rubber.
Yeah, rubber.
Okay, so here's what I like about this match, and this is what I think is going to happen. I think that Owens and Zayn win this match, and this is my hope. And I could be dreaming here because McMahon, he has been going. He's not really like a full-time wrestler. He just comes in and does these big, like crazy spots. But I would love to see this. You've seen Bryan and McMahon kind of chipping at each other. There's been some tension. There's been some tension in the in the way they're running their program. So I think Sami Zayn and Owens beat them, and it has to do with Bryan and McMahon somehow not getting along, and then they start a feud.
Not in sync with each other, and they end up losing.
Yeah, and who better to have Shane wrestle than Daniel Bryan, who's an unbelievable wrestler in the ring. I know he's been out, but he's gonna get his. It'll be very easy for him to come back, I think, and I think it'll be a feud. I think they're gonna go on a feud somehow. I don't know what it's gonna happen, but that's what I'm hoping for because I think it'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
That's very likely. I mean, the probability of what you just pitched is super high.
Might happen. Super high.
Because they are not on the same page, and it's animate.
Yeah, especially
you can't
after that little.
You can't be. They were so on edge with fighting each other for so many months, and now at the last minute be a team and operate as a unit. They're gonna. I think Brock's prediction is accurate.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So who's 100%. The face in that relationship? If I'm right, who goes face?
Well, you can't make Daniel a heel. I mean,
yeah, you can't make him a heel. Yeah.
So Shane McMahon has played face, right? This whole time, it's good time to make him a heel turn too, right? All right, here we go.
Dip into his. He's gonna have to dip into his McMahon bloodline and pull some villainy out.
Let me bring up our new member. What is up? Chris, what is your YouTube name so people know here?
My YouTube name? Oh, it's just Christopher Smith. That's all it is.
And then Kyle, what is your YouTube name?
I am Action Figure Collector 112.
Action Figure Collector. So obviously you're a lot younger than the rest of us here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you really quick. What's your background? How far back do you go wrestling? How are you a fan of wrestling? Because you look like you're 18, bro. You look like you're a puppy.
Definitely. I would say my wrestling background goes back to around, let me see, when like basic thugonomics John Cena. Like we're going back to
2002. 2003.
Like around Ruthless Aggression era.
That was when Lesnar was a face and Cena was a heel. What a weird time that was.
Hey, so Kyle, let me ask you, what do you think is going to happen on the match between Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn?
I would say Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, because I think Daniel really needs this push since he's been out so much. So I think it'd be nice to have him get a victory since he hasn't been able to wrestle because of injury.
But I still think what Brock says is gonna happen.
So I think he missed it, what I was saying. So Kyle, what do you think about this? So my thought is that it's the other guys go over in this match, and then Daniel Bryan and McMahon, because they have tension with each other, they're going to be going in. They're going to have a storyline together where they're actually wrestling each other and building. Oh,
I could see that.
Yeah,
because we saw a little bit of that at SummerSlam, I think, last year.
Right. Well, they're predicting Overkill saying you'll see Shane versus Daniel this SummerSlam this year, 1-on-1.
That's actually that'd be great. Is that the next pay-per-view? Is that the next pay-per-view?
The next of the big four. You have the big four. You have Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. The WWE investors and the chairman of the board and everything, they count on those 4 pay-per-views to pay for all their operating costs. The other pay-per-views are just extra. The big four have to do out, so that's when they really go out on the booking, and they book the wildest, most unpredictable matchups. So if they're going to do a Shane and Daniel Bryan, they would wait for SummerSlam, which is the very next big four.
So how long ago are we away for SummerSlam? What's the month that happens?
It's August.
Okay, so in August. So in between there, they're going to have to wrestle, right? They can't. Do you think they can do it? They have to be wrestling during those times. When you say,
unless they use injury for Shane, and he's not ready until SummerSlam, and they give Shane off-camera work.
Oh, that's an interesting story right there because of his diverticulitis and whatever. Is that a work or is that legit?
I think it's legit.
To shoot?
I think it's real.
What do you guys think?
I didn't even know anything about it.
Yeah, he's had it.
So diverticulitis is actually a pretty serious thing. Brock Lesnar had it, and it actually made him stop fighting in the UFC. I mean, you can die from diverticulitis. It's the diverticulitis, it's like poop gut. That's what I heard it described as. That your bowels they kind of explode and push it out. I'm not a doctor, and that's definitely not a clinical description of it, but that's what I heard. So if Shane McMahon doesn't really have this, it could be part of their gimmick, and maybe they will. Maybe not their gimmick, but their angle where they're going to go with a storyline where Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, they can jaw at each other. Daniel Bryan can still wrestle because he's active, and maybe Shane McMahon will start sending people to attack him. Who knows? Who knows what they're going to go with it, and then they'll culminate in a match like what Harry was saying at SummerSlam.
What's next, bro?
Oh, we lost Kyle. The next one is going to be Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. Oh, no, that's Star Wars.
Asuka. Asuka. There's a lot of anticipation. I mean, it can go either way. I really feel like they want to build Charlotte versus Ronda for next Mania. So, and it could actually be a female main event too.
All right, I gotta apologize for that. My phone just acted up for some reason. So
you're good. You're back in.
I'm sorry about that.
We're talking about Asuka.
Oh, Asuka.
Yeah, versus Charlotte. Who you got on that, Kyle?
I'd say Asuka because it'd be bad for them to break her streak at Mania. They'll most likely break it after Mania is when we'll see Asuka's streak broken.
This is the streak versus championship. So who wins over? I think the streak has to go on. Streaks are fun. I mean, look at how iconic the Undertaker streak was, and when it was broken, how much it meant. And here you have. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I would say between her streak and Undertaker streak, each match Undertaker had has been like awesome from start to finish. Asuka's been like quick. It's like she didn't even show none of her skills as much. I haven't seen her do like one or two moves and it's over with. Okay, it's almost like Ultimate Warrior. It's like all that hype and just boom and it's over with.
Well, look at what Chasing Rob is saying is going to happen on the chat.
Go ahead, read it, Harry.
Says Carmella cashes in. Carmella cashes in Money in the Bank.
Yeah, that's what the Thor said too. I say Charlotte beats her to end the streak, and Staten Island Princess comes in and cashes in to become the new champ.
Okay, now I
think explosive diarrhea. Chicken fried steak, man. He's always got.
Hey, Holly, this is your opportunity to come on camera, bro.
But the question is, if Asuka wins, how long is the streak going to go until it's broken?
No, I don't know, man. I want to see like a good match, though.
Well, they're going to have a great match. I think they're going to have a great match. Charlotte she's my favorite women's wrestler.
Yeah, same here.
By far. I mean, she's got the look. She's got the pedigree. She can talk, and she's only going to get better on the mic.
Right.
She's the total package. She is the face of the women's division, and by face I mean she is the star. And it should be all about her, and then just bringing people in with storylines with her, because I think athletically, phenomenal. I haven't seen Ahsoka Tano here wrestle too much. So I mean, Asuka,
she's
yeah.
no slouch in the physical department either. Extremely entertaining in the ring, hard hitting. She's got multiple victories over Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks. She destroyed everybody in NXT except for Ember Moon. I believe Ember Moon, when she's moved up to the main roster, will be given the favor of being the one to break Asuka's streak.
Yeah, but she's not known.
That would be interesting.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Kyle. What do you
that
think?
Would
that would
be really interesting if they choose to do that with Ember Moon.
They owe Ember
because they had that bad blood in NXT.
They do.
So to see that being crossed over to the roster, that would be an interesting match.
Asuka had to resort to dirty tactics to beat Ember both times she faced her in NXT.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And
so that would be perfect for a storyline if Ember gets put up to the roster and then calls her out for that.
Right. And then
bam, you got a feud for a pay-per-view.
Right. And they give Ember the glory of being the one of breaking that streak in the main roster and taking a strap off Asuka at the same time too.
For the out of context comment for the win, Knight of Ren 789 says, I would be a heel. Yes. Hey, okay, so let's move on from this this woman's title. I think I just want to see Charlotte Flair. I want to see more of her. She's my favorite for sure. All right, here we go. Kurt Angle, Rousey, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. Let's hear your thoughts. Let's start with Kyle. Kyle, let's hear your thoughts on that.
I think Kurt and Ronda. I think, just because I don't really see if Stephanie and Triple H win over them, I don't see how it could possibly be used. But you never know.
Okay, fair enough. Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I say it's like the same thing, Kurt and Ronda, but I feel at the end, Stephanie and Triple H gonna at least like do some harm afterwards.
Okay, Harry.
Ronda by tap out on Stephanie for sure.
Okay, I'll say right now, you guys have been watching more wrestling than I have, but this is the way I would do it. If I was a writer,
if you were a booking,
if I was doing the writing, how the storyline would go, I would put Triple H and Stephanie McMahon over here. Make Ronda look strong. Kurt Angle is not significant to me in this match. It would have been better if The Rock was in here for me because they have history.
Like they initially wanted. They initially wanted The Rock, but he's promoting Rampage right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I want Triple H and Stephanie to go over with a resounding win. Ronda Rousey, if you remember, for the last two fights in the UFC have been losses, and they have devastated her. Mm-hmm. And Stephanie McMahon has even alluded to it. I'm not sure if it was Stephanie or Triple H. One of them alluded to that, how she reacts after a loss.
It was Steph.
Oh yeah, when she said that,
she's like, we all know how hard losses are on you, don't we, Ronda?
Well, there you go. So
that was a low blow.
I want her to lose here in the WWE and have it be the comeback, the build up. I know that, but make her look strong in the match. But now it's the opposite of how she responded in the UFC. But you're building her character here. She's not the baddest woman on the planet. She is not by far. She used to be, but not anymore. But in the WWE, storylines can be written. She can be made really look strong. Loss, and then she comes back from her loss. She rebounds from a loss. She wasn't able to rebound from a loss in the UFC, but she's rebounding from a loss in the WWE. I think that's a story that they can have some fun with, and it'd be compelling. I don't know, but what's the negative of that? What do you guys see that if they go with something like that?
It would feel like when they let Triple H beat Sting.
Yeah. Now that there was just totally just awful.
You know how upset the fans were when they let that happen.
Well, sure, but with that, you had a future. You had futures until Sting got hurt, until Rollins that match pretty much retired him.
Yeah.
So there was going to be a future. You know, they were thinking long term in that, but then he broke, and then you couldn't use it. Ronda's younger, so maybe that won't happen. Oh, something's happened.
Boy.
Oh no, we're off air.
We're off air.
It shows live on my end.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
There's a delay though. Something happened on my screen anyway. I'm wondering if I accidentally hit something. Are we still live?
Yeah.
It shows live on my screen, but it might be.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, my bad. My bad. I guess we're still live. I must have hit something over here. Oops. We're still on. Okay, carry on. Sorry about that, guys. Help me out. Help me out.
I have to leave though because like I just not check my blood and it's like kind of low. So
Thank you,
I gotta
Chris.
Go get some orange juice, player, before you pass out.
It's
Thanks
been a
for-
pleasure, Chris, man.
Oh
Peace
man,
out.
it's been an honor. It's been an honor, everyone.
Follow at you on IG, man.
All right, man. All right, everyone.
Peace out.
Bye bye.
Peace.
All right, save me, guys, because I just bombed on camera. So help me out. Help me out.
What's after Rondo? Let's do the next match.
Okay, so but do you guys like that idea of the storyline, or you think that buries Ronda? She needs to go over.
I don't want to see that happen. What you said.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a cool storyline. I just hope that's not the case.
We'll see. Rousey
It's got long-term implications.
in the
Kind of like what they did with Brock when they did the
Rousey.
Triple H Brock match, and they let Triple H win the first one, and then he lost both the ones after.
The odds maker have it in favor for Angle and Rousey, like by a lot. So
Nice
I'm probably
submission.
wrong. Yeah, she's probably going to tear her arm off, like they said.
David Buckner in the chat there. Hey, Dave, if you'd like to join us on camera, you can send Brock an email.
That's right. Send me an email, player, with your email, and I'll bring you on. All right, here we go.
Or Facebook.
Let's talk about the match that we all know is going to happen. John Cena versus The Undertaker. Harry, why don't you go first? What do you think is going to happen here?
Oh, I believe he's not going to be in Taker persona. He will be American Badass. And I believe he wins. He beats John Cena.
Interesting. What about you, Kyle?
That's a tough one because didn't they say it was career versus streak or something like that when they were doing the promos?
Well, no, I think that's for Asuka. Asuka.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So now the Undertaker persona has been retired, right, Harry? So he's
In
that
my
persona
eyes,
is gone.
it has been.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
He left the trench coat in the ring and the hat and the gloves.
Right.
He's never going to have that persona again. He's done.
Right. And then, Harry, you sent me a clip from when it was John Cena's debut, and Undertaker was in his he was playing the American Badass character at that point.
And
So
he
I think you're
confronts
right.
young John Cena and says, "What's your name, kid?"
Yep.
John Cena, sir.
Do you think John Cena is going to be in the audience in wrestling gear, or is he coming from the back?
His wrestling gear is regular clothes, so yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen.
He just has
I
to
think
take
he's
his
going to be
shirt off
just
and
chilling
he's
with the
ready.
fans.
Yeah, agreed. I think he's going to sit. He's going to be sitting because he gave up. You know, the final Raw. He pretty much he made it seem like it was going to. I'm just going to be in the. I'm going to be with the
Let's not
fans.
forget, Brock. Let's not forget Raw 25, January of this year. Taker makes an appearance at the old Raw venue when they were doing dual cast. They were doing two casts, one from the big arena and one from the Barclays Center, the old place where they used to film Raw. And Taker makes an appearance, and he has a really cryptic message. He starts talking about it's time for those who are still here, who don't need to be here anymore, to let the Reaper take them too, something like that. And that was directed to John Cena for sure.
You're gonna have to send me that
I
link
can send
because
you
I didn't.
that.
Yeah, send me that, but I didn't see that, and in the buildup I didn't watch that. But it's very interesting. They're definitely, it's gonna be a big a reaction. I think this is probably gonna be my guess. That's gonna be the biggest pop when the American Badass. I think you're calling it correctly. He comes out, and the crowd is absolutely gonna go nuts.
Kid Rock will do his music live in person because he's there anyway.
That's a good point.
Inducted.
Yeah. When do you think that match happens? Where in the card?
It's not the last match, but it'll be toward the end.
Do you think it's before the AJ Styles Nakamura?
Yes, I do. I think it'll be before that.
Okay, so I have that one. The next to the penultimate.
Nobody
match.
will want to follow those guys because that's going to be match of the night.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, Dave, come on, man! You're not going to join us? He's about to go to sleep. Okay, fair enough. Sleep over collector spotlight. I get it. So let's move on to that. AJ Styles. We're almost done. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Who takes this?
Nakamura. Not that AJ doesn't deserve
Nakamura too.
It's been a long chase for Nakamura. He hasn't had a title since he moved up to the main roster.
He will be
this would be his big push in the
if he wins
roster.
If he wins, he will be the first Japanese
when
wrestler to hold the title. The first Japanese wrestler to hold the WWE Championship if he wins. Pretty significant.
Nakamura needs to be that guy.
Yeah, guess what? I don't think I've ever seen him in a match. I just know I've heard he's phenomenal.
Well, here's this. AJ's got a bunch of small lingering injuries that he needs to take a few weeks off in a week to mend finally, or they're going to be bigger problems. He uses DDP's treatment. The yoga is the only reason why he can still perform the way he does. And there's some other smaller injuries that he really needs to get taken care of, or they're going to become bigger problems. Because he doesn't heal like he used to, 12 years ago.
Sure, he's older now. I understand that for sure. Kyle, on the other hand, does not understand what that is because he's like Wolverine. He's got
Kevin Cito.
He even has the mud
Kevin Cito is in the chat. Tattoo winner.
What's up, Kevin? What's up, Robert? Thanks for joining us. We're almost done. This is coming to the end. Let's move to the final last match. Now, this is obviously it's Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. For me, the last match, I've already expended so much emotional energy from what has happened that it's always a bore to me. The final match has typically been, I'm almost sleeping by this time, guys. So what do you guys think? Kyle, you go first. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Who goes over?
I think Reigns, because they've been trying to push him as a heel or as a face, but the crowd isn't just getting along with it. So I hope eventually someone's going to take the title off Reigns, but I think Reigns for sure.
Harry?
Reigns is going to win, and it's because McMahon has had so many champs leave the business and take their title with him. He does anything in his power to prevent that from happening this day forward. I mean,
now, one of the things that I've observed, and actually my wife noticed this because, she knows stuff just because I'm a nerd and she loves me, so she learns my stuff. She looked at Brock Lesnar and she goes, he's a lot smaller than he used to be. So that means he's probably not on the harder stuff, the juice, the stuff, because he may be going back to the UFC,
and he has to be clean.
Well, he has to be, but the other thing, he's serving a suspension right now in the UFC. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but he's suspended currently. Yeah. I forget which commission. He needs to be clean. So any drug test that they do on him, he needs to be absolutely clean. And for him, it's dollar signs. He's making money on both ends. and the UFC and the WWE have been sharing him, but it looks like he's definitely like visibly smaller. He's definitely off cycle for whatever. So Dr. Pest says Brock is still in contract in the UFC. Is that right? I did not know that. But if he's going to go back and he has a bunch of tests to be done, so I can see that happening, then he definitely looks smaller. So I agree. I think Roman Reigns is going to win. He's going to go over. And now Roman Reigns, let's talk about him for a little bit before we end the show. What do you think has been the problem for him? Is it Roman Reigns the problem, or is it just booking the problem? Let's hear your thoughts on that, Harry.
I mean, Roman is just somebody that when they denied him that Royal Rumble victory a few years back, from that point forward, he needs to be heel. He needs to be heel. They need to let him be a heel. And it's too bad the Shield reunion they planned this year didn't pan out because of Dean's injury. That would have been the only saving grace to get him babyface again. They were working on it, and then Dean got hurt, and now I don't know. He needs to be allowed to be a heel because the crowd's just ruthless against Roman. And I'm not saying it's justified.
Sure. In the chat, Dr. Pest says that Dana White said this last night. So what did he say in the UFC conference? Because I missed that. I missed the UFC conference last night, so I don't know what he was said. So what did he say? Dr. Pest, we're waiting on you.
Still on contract is what he's talking about.
Is that what he's talking about?
This is a contract that Vince McMahon gave Brock Lesnar permission to sign in order to keep him in WWE enough appearances to do what they needed of him, and he can still fulfill his MMA wishes.
The Thor 2941 says Reigns will win and get a big head, then turn heel.
I think that would be best.
I would like to see him play heel. He definitely has it in him. I think the guy's developing on the mic. He's got the look. He's super athletic.
Yes.
Kevin mentioned this Superman punch. He's able to do like pretty impressive things. I like him. I think that the way they've written his character hasn't been good. They've been like shoving the good guy persona down our throats when people are just wanting him to be a heel. People want to hate the guy. They're already hating the guy. It's kind of like a John Cena, but it's not working for him, in my opinion. I would love to see him turn heel and then get over. I think he will get over if he with the fans, because he's somewhat over now, but he'll really get over with the fans if he turns heel. I look forward to that. Any last thoughts for you, Kyle?
I think they should put him as heel because I think that the crowds would enjoy him more as a heel than as a face.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Any last comments for you, Harry, on that match?
No, it's probably going to close the show like you're predicting. And at that time, everybody will be so exhausted, like you said, emotional roller coaster wise with all the events of the night. So by that time, everyone will be numb, exhausted, and just ready to.
Do you think it's going to be like a rather quick match, or you think they're going to go for like 15 minutes or 30 minutes?
It's going to be more than 20, but 30 is really pushing it for both of those.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, that's the end of the main questions. Kyle, thank you for joining us. And
thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thanks for hopping on. I appreciate you doing that. And we'll see you around the campus. Peace out, Kyle.
All right.
Thank you,
sir.
You got it. All right. So let me help him get out there. All right, Harry. So we're going to close out the show with you. Thank you for your wrestling knowledge. So tell me, any last thoughts on WrestleMania? What are you looking forward to the most in tomorrow's event?
Easily AJ and Nakamura. That's going to be, like you and I were talking earlier, that's a tactician fans match. It's going to be like a chess match, but high speed velocity.
Now, you know that these guys have wrestled in I think it was New Japan. They've
3
wrestled
years ago. 3 years ago. And that match, you could not tell who was going to win until the very end. It was so back and forth.
So this is why I think AJ is going to win tomorrow, because Nakamura has one on him. Tomorrow, it's going to be one on one, and then they'll have a rubber match because
it could be. So it's a very plausible reasoning behind that guess. I hope Nakamura wins, though.
Gotcha.
I hope he does. I love AJ to death. He might be my most favorite current active wrestler in the business right now, AJ Styles. But I know for a fact that he is hurt. He's got a bunch of little injuries that are adding up, and they're affecting his performance, and they could make him have to retire earlier than he needs to if he doesn't get them fixed.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
On a business end, it makes more sense to put the strap on Nakamura, give AJ a month off, and go from there.
Interesting. And I see that point too. Yeah,
and then
these
do
guys
the superstar shakeup.
The
superstar shakeups next month. Throw AJ on Raw. Let him chase the Universal Championship. Switch things up. Change gears.
Very good. All right, folks, that's the end of this collector spotlight. I want to thank my guest, Harry Sands Jr., and make sure I've left his links, his social media links in the video description. Go check out his pages. Instagram, he's been doing the wrestling. If you want to be kept up with, obviously you can tell he's got a lot of wrestling knowledge. He even knows the intricate details of their dating relationships.
Their relationship status, yeah. I'll even hook you up on that.
there it is.
Kevin Cito, Josh Holly, Tim Overkill 48, Christopher, Brock, of course. Love you all. Thank you for allowing me to do this show tonight.
It was awesome. Thanks for joining up. So that is the end of this stream, and we will catch you on the next one. All right, players. Peace. If I only knew how to end the call without hanging up on you, Harry. Bye, guys. I'm working it. I feel like I'm out of practice. All right, I'm gonna hit this red button right here. Maybe this is what's gonna happen. Let's see if this works. I feel if I end this. Oh gosh, Harry, I may hang up on you right now, bro. And broadcast.